Good morning, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Recipe Tuesday. Today, I have a really good recipe I think all of you will enjoy. Um, it does make me think of one subscriber because this subscriber and we've talked about slow cooker recipes in the past, so I do believe that you'll like this particular recipe along with the rest of you watching as well. What I have is an easy four ingredient slow cooker Italian beef sandwich recipe. And this is what it takes to make it. You're going to need a 2 to 3 pound chuck roast. You're also going to need your favorite Italian dressing. If you don't want to use a bottle dressing, you can use a dry, zesty Italian packet as well. Another ingredient that it calls for is sweet salad peppers that come in a jar. And you can find it in the olive condiment section of most supermarkets. If you don't want that, but you want to give it a little bit more of a kick, you can also use the sweet and hot version of it as well. You're also going to need grated Parmesan cheese. You're also going to need like a crusty bread, like a hoagie, sub bread, it's called in some places, or even French bread. So, however you want to do it up in that respect. Then you're going to need some sliced cheese. Um, Provolone or mozzarella would work good in this case. I don't see why you couldn't use any other variation, but that's the two that it calls for here. I know me, once I do a recipe a certain way, I mean, I'll follow it to a T the first time, but the second time around, I'm looking at ways to change it, modify it, make it to the way I want it. So then to put it together, what you're going to do is you're going to add the roast to the bottom of a 6 quart slow cooker. I don't have a 6 quart model. Mine, I believe, is a 4. So, and I've cooked a 3 pound roast in there many a time, and it turned out fine. Once you put the roast down inside the slow cooker, then you're going to pour the Italian dressing on top of it, and then half a jar of the sweet peppers and half of the juice. Then you're going to cover and cook on low for 6 hours or on high for 4 hours. The second step, about an hour before the end of the cook time, once the meat is tender, use a ladle to remove the majority of the juices. Shred the meat, add the Parmesan cheese, stir, replace the cover, and let it come together for another 30 to 60 minutes. The third step, finally, when ready to serve, pile some shredded beef onto a bun, top with cheese and additional peppers, and enjoy. Now, this does seem easy enough. Um, they're saying here that you have some substitutions you can do with it. Like, for example, it says you can use pepperoncinis or roasted red peppers instead of sweet salad peppers. That sounds pretty good. Either way, you can't go wrong with that. If you want to add some heat, add some hot pepper rings and juice to the mix. Adding sliced onions to cook with the beef adds another level of flavor. I do like my onions. Usually, I bounce between two. I like yellow onion and Vidalia. Either one of those, you can't go wrong. I also like red onions, but I usually primarily leave that like for a salad. Let's see, what else is it telling me? Mozzarella cheese is a great alternative to provolone, so is pepper jack. Never thought about that. Pepper jack sounds pretty good too. I don't mind a little bit of spicy. as long as it's not overkill, where I have to reach and take a sip, take a bite, it's hot, and then take a sip. Not that hot. I do like a little bit of a bite, but not overly. Um, let's just put it this way without being too sarcastic. I don't like feeling the burn twice, if that makes any sense. If not serving as a sandwich, what it says here, the shredded beef is also delicious over mashed potatoes. Oh, never thought about that. That does sound pretty good. Um, okay, all right. I would probably follow it and make a hoagie sandwich type thing out of it first, and then later in I would give the mashed potato method a try. That does sound really good. It You can't go wrong either way. Um, it's also saying here when this batch of sandwiches with provolone cheese and additional sweet peppers, are used, but some other topping options include um, mixed pickled veggies, the pepperoncini, as I mentioned. Oh, sliced red onions. Okay, so I guess you could go that way. Mozzarella cheese, lettuce, tomato, whatever your favorite sandwich fixings are. Okay, so you could, okay, and it makes sense because this recipe, if you think about it, it is a blank canvas because you can go up or down with it, or you can leave it as is. So there's, several ways to go about it. It says here when you store whatever's left over that's not used, it should be stored covered in the fridge for up to 4 days. Okay. It also says here for those that like to freeze things, you can freeze it, let it cool completely, and then transfer it to a freezer safe container or a freezer bag. Squeeze out any excess air and then freeze it for up to 3 months. Oh, wow. Okay, so you can always have it on hand. Let's see, when ready to eat it, move it from the freezer to the fridge to thaw overnight. And then here it tells me, when you go to reheat the Italian beef, when you're ready to reheat it in the microwave, you can do it in the microwave itself, or you can put it back in the slow cooker and heat it until it's thoroughly cooked all the way. All right. According to this, it tells you what you could even add to it as a side. You can do potato chips. You can do feta artichoke pasta salad, which I like feta and I like artichokes, but I've never combined the two in a pasta salad. Baked beans, that's always good. You don't necessarily have to make your own from scratch unless you know how. A good quality can of Bush's baked beans or something like that would do just as well, I'm sure. Creamy stovetop mac and cheese. Okay, that works. And then bacon ranch pasta salad. Well, I've done that. I've made ranch pasta salad too many times to count. So that would be good as well. Okay. I mean, this sounds really good. I'd be willing to give it a try. And what's good about cooking it in the slow cooker is it doesn't give off hardly any heat whatsoever. It's one of those things you can put it together early in the AM and then, plug it in, close the lid, and then usually by mid late afternoon, whatever time you decide to have dinner, or even a little bit of a late lunch, you could have it for then. But this sounds really good. I myself, I do like a good chuck roast. There are other roasts out there that you can go and get, like rib roast, and you know, there is a rump roast. I think London broil. I've had pretty much all of those, but I tend to keep coming back to the chuck roast. There's something about the way that particular roast does when it's done up in a slow cooker. When it's done up um, as a steak, if you're not careful with the way you prepare it, it can be a little bit on the tough side, but I know as a roast, it is absolutely out of this world. And I'm thinking if you didn't want to use a chuck roast or beef to cut down on the money a little bit, I guess you could go the pork route, a good pork roast. a good quality, or decent quality, I should say. So anyway, that's what I have in store for you this morning. Like I said, one particular subscriber did come to mind when I, saw this recipe. And if you decide you want to try it, let me know what you think of it if you do. And also the rest of you out there watching this morning, if you want to give it a try, or what you think. I hope all of you have a great remainder of your Tuesday, and I will see you most likely on Thursday. I'll talk to you then. Bye.